Imagine this. A submarine, silent and deadly, emerges from turbulent waters. What if I told you that one country could neutralize another with just one strategic move? Welcome to the world of INS Vara, India's $3.7 billion underground nuclear submarine base, a game changer in the geopolitical chess match between India and China. Nestled into a rocky cliff, this fortress is designed not only to survive a nuclear attack, but also to serve as the backbone of India's strategy to keep its rival in check. Today, we'll explore how this hidden base is reshaping the balance of power in the Indian Ocean and why it matters more than ever.
Welcome to INS Vara, a $3.7 billion underground marvel carved into a rocky cliff on India's eastern coastline. This isn't just any naval base, it's a fortress designed to withstand nuclear attacks. Hidden beneath layers of rock and earth, INS Vara is built to house up to 12 nuclear-powered submarines, making it one of the most secure and secretive military installations in the world. But what makes INS Vara truly unique? For starters, its underwater tunnels allow submarines to dock in complete secrecy, shielded from prying eyes including satellite surveillance. Located in the Bay of Bengal, this base gives India a strategic edge by keeping part of its nuclear triad hidden and ready to respond at a moment's notice. INS Vara plays a critical role in completing India's nuclear deterrence strategy. While the country established its nuclear triad in 2018, capable of launching nuclear weapons from land, air, and sea, it's the growing fleet of nuclear submarines that will make this triad more robust. With direct access to the Bhabha Atomic Research Center just 16 kilometers away, INS Vara isn't just a base, it's the nerve center of India's second strike capability. And as tensions with China continue to rise, this base ensures that India has a powerful deterrent tone that can survive even the unthinkable.
Welcome to the Bay of Bengal, the world's largest coastal body of water and arguably its most strategic. This isn't just a patch of ocean, it's a chessboard where global powers like India and China are making their moves. Why? Because some of the busiest maritime highways in the world pass through here, carrying goods, energy, and resources that power economies across Asia. Take the Strait of Malacca, for example. Every year, around 94,000 ships carrying nearly 30% of all globally traded goods pass through this narrow waterway. It's also the biggest oil transport route in the world, with 23.7 million barrels of crude oil flowing through daily. For China, this strait is nothing short of a lifeline. It accounts for 80% of the country's imported energy. But here's the catch. Control over this choke point is fragile. If tensions escalate, the Strait of Malacca could become a bottleneck, cutting off China's access to vital resources. So, what's Beijing doing about it? They're hedging their bets. Over the past 2 decades, China has invested heavily in alternative trade routes. Take the China-Myanmar Economic Corridor. For instance, see a network of pipelines, railways, and roads connecting Kunming to Myanmar's Kyaukphyu deep-sea port. Or the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a $62 billion project linking Xinjiang to the Arabian Sea. Even the Middle Corridor, stretching through Central Asia and into Europe, is part of this grand strategy. Ambitious? Absolutely. But none of these corridors come close to matching the sheer capacity of the Strait of Malacca. At the same time, China has been expanding its naval presence in the Indian Ocean. Ports like Kyaukphyu in Myanmar and BNS Patuakhali in Bangladesh may be operated by host countries, but they've increasingly become hubs for Chinese naval activity. This continuous presence strategy normalizes China's footprint in the region, boosting its credibility among local nations. But here's the twist. While China is building bridges, India is building barriers. And at the heart of this rivalry lies the Bay of Bengal battleground, where geography, resources, and strategy collide.
When it comes to naval power, size isn't everything, but let's talk numbers for a moment. As of 2023, China boasts over 370 battle force ships, outpacing the United States and dwarfing India's fleet of just 130 warships. On paper, that's a nearly 3-to-1 disadvantage for India. But here's the catch. Raw numbers don't tell the whole story. China's navy is heavily weighted towards smaller coastal defense vessels like frigates and corvettes, perfect for patrolling near home, but less effective in distant waters. Meanwhile, India's fleet, though smaller, operates closer to its own shores, giving it a geographic advantage. And when it comes to strategic depth, India has something even more valuable: INS Vara and its growing fleet of nuclear-powered submarines. Take INS Arihant, for example. This 100-meter Loang, $470 million marvel is India's first indigenously developed nuclear ballistic missile submarine. It's equipped with 4 vertical launch tubes capable of carrying up to 12 ballistic missiles, including the K-4, which has a range of 3,500 kilometers. That means INS Arihant can target Chinese military installations as far away as Hainan Island. And because nuclear submarines are quieter and harder to detect than their diesel-electric counterparts, they pose a stealthy, persistent threat that keeps adversaries on edge. But India's strategy isn't about matching China ship for ship, it's about denying them dominance. This approach, known as sea denial, focuses on neutralizing an opponent's ability to operate freely in contested waters. With INS Vara as its nerve center, India is positioning itself to disrupt China's maritime ambitions right where it hurts most, the Indian Ocean. And while China is investing heavily in blue water capabilities, projecting power across vast distances requires robust logistical support. Here, India holds another key advantage: proximity. Operating close to home allows India to maintain a constant presence without stretching its resources thin. For China, every move into the Indian Ocean risks overextension of vulnerability that India is all too eager to exploit.
About 1,200 kilometers southeast of mainland India lies a chain of over 500 islands that might just be the key to India's maritime strategies, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. This archipelago isn't just a tropical paradise. It's a strategic stronghold sitting right at the doorstep of one of the world's most critical choke points, the Strait of Malacca. Located just 500 to 600 kilometers from this vital waterway, the islands form a natural defensive barrier between Southeast Asia and the Bay of Bengal. Together, they boast an exclusive economic zone of 663,000 square kilometers. That's nearly 30% of India's total EEZ. But it's not just about fishing rights or undersea resources like oil and natural gas. The real value lies in their location. With advanced surveillance systems already in place, India can monitor and track Chinese vessels moving through the region, giving New Delhi a significant intelligence advantage. And it doesn't stop there. Until recently, the islands had 2 dual-function airports: Veer Savarkar International Airport at Port Blair and Car Nicobar Air Force Station. But now a 3rd airstrip has been added in Cohassa on Shahid Dweep. Measuring a full kilometer in length and equipped with night landing facilities, this new runway is designed to handle larger aircraft, including India's fleet of Boeing P-8 I Poseidon submarine hunters. These planes are perfect for patrolling vast stretches of ocean and detecting even the stealthiest submarines. But here's where things get interesting. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands aren't just a defensive line, they're also becoming a hub for regional cooperation. India has been upgrading its military infrastructure here while deepening ties with neighboring countries like Indonesia, Thailand, and Myanmar. Joint naval exercises and shared maritime security initiatives are turning these islands into a cornerstone of India's Act East policy. For example, consider the Trilateral Maritime Security Initiative between India, Indonesia, and Australia. By working together to patrol the Eastern Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, these nations are creating a united front against any single power trying to dominate the region. And let's not forget the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue involving India, the United States, Japan, and Australia, which further strengthens India's position as a counterbalance to China. In short, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are more than just rocks in the ocean. They're India's first line of defense, a forward operating base, and a symbol of New Delhi's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. As tensions rise, these islands will play a pivotal role in shaping the balance of power not just in the Bay of Bengal, but across the entire region.
While China has been busy expanding its footprint in the Indian Ocean, India isn't sitting idly by. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Act East policy, New Delhi is taking bold steps to counter Beijing's influence not just at home, but also in Southeast Asia. This isn't just about diplomacy, it's about projecting power into China's backyard. Take defense agreements, for example. In April 2024, India delivered the first batch of BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles to the Philippines, a landmark deal worth $375 million. For those unfamiliar, the BrahMos is one of the fastest cruise missiles in the world, capable of traveling at nearly 3 times the speed of sound and striking targets with pinpoint accuracy. And it's not just the Philippines. Similar deals are in the works with Vietnam, another key player in the South China Sea dispute. These arms sales aren't just transactions, they're strategic partnerships designed to strengthen ties and build trust. But why is India focusing so heavily on Southeast Asia? The answer lies in geography and strategy. By arming nations like the Philippines and Vietnam, India is helping them push back against China's aggressive claims in the South China Sea. At the same time, these alliances serve as a deterrent, forcing Beijing to divide its attention and resources between multiple fronts. And it doesn't stop there. India is also deepening its diplomatic engagement in the region. Whether it's through joint naval exercises, economic partnerships, or cultural exchanges, New Delhi is positioning itself as a reliable alternative to Beijing. For instance, consider the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue involving India, the United States, Japan, and Australia. This coalition is increasingly seen as a counterbalance to China's growing dominance in the Indo-Pacific. What makes this approach so effective is how India combines diplomacy with military strength. While INS Vara and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands provide a physical presence in the Indian Ocean, initiatives like the BrahMos missile deal extend India's reach into the South China Sea. Together, these efforts create a two-pronged strategy, dispersing China's resources while corralling its ambitions within the Bay of Bengal. In short, India's outreach in Southeast Asia isn't just about countering China, it's about reshaping the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. By building alliances, selling advanced weaponry, and engaging diplomatically, India is proving that control isn't inherited, it's contested. And in this contest, New Delhi is making sure it stays one step ahead.
As we've seen, the game of geopolitics is anything but statistics, a constantly shifting board where every move counts. At the heart of India's strategy lies INS Vara, a $3.7 billion underground fortress that serves as both a shield and a sword. Designed to withstand nuclear attacks and house up to 12 nuclear-powered submarines, this base isn't just a military installation, it's a statement. It's India's way of saying, we're here, and we're ready. But INS Vara is more than just concrete and steel. It's the cornerstone of India's broader strategy to counterbalance China's growing influence in the Indian Ocean. From the Andaman and Nicobar Islands acting as a defensive barrier near the Strait of Malacca, to advanced arms deals like the BrahMos missile sales with countries like the Philippines and Vietnam, India is playing a multi-dimensional game. It's not about matching China's ship for ship or dollar for dollar, it's about leveraging geography, alliances, and technology to tilt the scales in its favor. And let's not forget the bigger picture. This rivalry isn't just about two nations, it's about the future of the Indo-Pacific and, by extension, the global balance of power. As China seeks to project its influence beyond the South China Sea, India is stepping up to ensure that no single power dominates the region. It's a delicate dance zone that involves diplomacy, deterrence, and the occasional show of force. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? In geopolitics, control isn't inherited, it's earned. Whether it's through building strategic bases like INS Vara, forging alliances across Southeast Asia, or modernizing its naval capabilities, India is proving that staying ahead requires vision, commitment, and a willingness to adapt. As tensions between India and China continue to simmer, one thing is clear. The Indian Ocean is no longer just a body of water, it's a chessboard. And on this board, every move matters. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the geopolitics of the Indo-Pacific. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, stay curious and remember, the world is always watching.